the center.
Yeah.
This is what is called the rating nut, and this is where you adjust the height of the pendulum to come up with the proper speed of the clock. And this was gone, and the only thing that was holding all this weight from falling was there's these two screws right here, screw in and hold this piece in, and it was actually keeping the pendulum from falling. These pieces were gone. This is what I call the suspension spring blocks. And what that does is these blocks, when you pinch them in on that pendulum spring, that's where the pivot point is. And that's what determines the speed you have from that pivot point on these blocks down to the bottom of the pendulum determines the overall height. That determines the speed. This is a 1 second pendulum. Some of these clocks had 1.5 second pendulums on them, which meant the bob of the pendulum would be down through the floor. There would actually be a hole cut in the floor, a triangular hole, so that the pendulum rod would swing down through the floor. This is a 1 second. This cup. So what had happened when I got there, these were gone, and they had pinched this top arbor in, and the spring there. So there was absolutely no adjustment in the height. So what they were doing was raising and lowering this cup, trying to get the speed correct. And you can see all the damage that was done on the pendulum rod. It must have been driving the poor guy crazy that was trying to set this thing, because there is just places all over that where it set it. And you can put little BBs or whatever in that cup. That's why it was designed that way, to try to help regulate this thing. Now, the crutch is this piece right behind here. And what it does, it hooks on to the arbor that the verge is on, and it delivers the beat or the pulse to the pendulum, and that's what keeps the clock going. You have the escape wheel that is, when it pushes off the side of these pallets, it gives a little impulse, and it is what, in other words, pushes the pendulum to keep it running. What I did, I had to go in, because none of this was, I don't know at what point some of this got changed out, but it must have been when they took out these blocks, they maybe had to make a new suspension spring, and they didn't make it long enough. So what I did, I made all this, and then I found a set of original suspension spring blocks off of number 16. But on some of the number 16s, this part right here was longer. And so these blocks were taller. Well, you can see that distance in between that block and this piece right here is all the adjustment you have on speed. So to get as much space as I could in between there, what I had to do is machine these down, cut them down to where they work fine, and but they just aren't the size of what the originals were. These pieces here are just they're a yoke that just protects, if anything would happen and the suspension spring would break, the pendulum and bob won't get away from you. They'll just rest on it.